What if Formula 1 went back to Hockenheim in the future? Well, in today's video, that's the hypothetical question we are answering as we take to Hockenheim, a modern-looking Hockenheim, as you'll clearly see with the sponsor boards all around, in a 2026 Formula 1 car. And the question came to mind for me because somewhat recently at the start of 2025 here, it was announced that the Belgium Grand Prix will be rotating, sadly, in the future. Now, in reality, that's probably to make way for potentially brand new locations for Formula 1 to go to, but it got me thinking, and plenty of other F1 fans thinking on social media, about the return of some fan favourites in place of those rotational European Grand Prix. If we're going to lose Spa 1 year, why not in that same year, though, bring back a classic like Hockenheim or even the Nürburgring? But for me personally, I don't know, out of the two German tracks there, I've always had a soft spot for Hockenheim. I think it is a circuit that it's such a shame we never got to see the current era of Formula 1 cars go to, which is why I think it's going to be interesting in this video to take on Hockenheim in the 2026 Formula 1 car. So I think the next time F1 might ever come to Hockenheim will be with this era of new Formula 1 cars with way more hybrid power, less aero, a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter. And so with that, let's cut to an onboard and stick with this onboard for an entire hot lap of Hockenheim in a future era Formula 1 car. Hooked up turn one pretty well. So satisfying when you get that balance of curb and carrying the speed. Small DRS zone before a right into left, which kind of, bleeds into one another. So it's a nice slingshot flowing section onto the main overtaking spot at the circuit, I feel, with the active aero on these 2026 cars. So both the rear wing and the front wing is shallowing to reduce the drag, then down to a very long hard brake zone for the hairpin. Very difficult to judge that, the entry and the exit point, because I feel like the exit tightens up a lot more than you actually think going into it. Then a bit of a bumpy ride as we get into sector 2. This is a real fun place to get hooked up as you kind of undulate and you go up and down, side to side, almost like a little roller coaster in front of the Mercedes grandstand that was. Then really quick right-hander, so good when you get that right into a stadium section. The crowd cheering on the right, the vibes are high. I mean, I just wish we were still back at Hockenheim. And then a very tricky double right-hander floating the car, trying to keep momentum going as the rear end wants to step out, and we cross the line. And that was a fun hot lap, but you know what's going to be even more fun is a 10-lap race around Hockenheim with a full grid of 2026 Formula 1 cars. We're going to be starting from last place. We've got the likes of Max Verstappen, Kimi Antonelli and Lewis Hamilton at the forefront. Can we join them by the end of the race? And what kind of racing are we going to get? Well, we're about to find out. As we all start to rev up, looking towards those red lights, the return of the German Grand Prix in Formula 1. Lights out, and we're underway. We've got the likes of Nico Hülkenberg in the Audi ahead of us, Liam Lawson in the other Red Bull Ford, Sergio Perez in a Cadillac entry. There's an issue for Antonelli, a bit too hot-headed into turn one, maybe a collision with Max Verstappen, but he's out. The youngster in the Mercedes out early on the exit of turn one. I mean, it's so tricky on the opening lap. I mean, even on the official F1 game, I remember AI used to have an issue, let alone a set of course AI. As you can see, that massive rear wing flap shallowing as DRS, the active air I should say, is activated immediately here with this mod as we go down the inside of Perez in the Cadillac entry, and then just tucked up behind a very colourful, I must say, racing bull of Yuki Tsunoda, and Hadjar ahead of him as we're going to try and get down the inside of Yuki. So close, wheel-to-wheel stuff as we now try and go round the outside, a little bit wide as the understeer kicks in, but we manage to wrestle the nose in and get round the outside of the Japanese driver up into P11. So good progress made on the opening lap, I would say. I mean, you never know what you're going to get on lap one sometimes with a set of Corsa AI, but I'm quite impressed, only one casualty. Other than that, it's pretty damn clean and pretty damn close as well. Look at that mini-map on the top right. It is ferociously close here after the opening lap, and so we're just going to see now as we go on through the next 9 laps what kind of actual wheel-to-wheel racing can we get. I mean, we already had a nice little moment there with Tsunoda. It seems already early doors, though. You can kind of tell the AI aren't particularly strong strong through turn 1, but you're going to let them off. I mean, this base game is, what is it now? Since 2014, 11 years old. But, oh my God, saying that, I'm sorry, Hajar's just absolutely done me. He's gone from left to right, he's done the little switcheroo, and he's gone round my outside to re-overtake me. And that's what you get in Hockenheim, because that corner feeds in so nicely, the right to the left. If you're a bit off balance into the first right-hander, if you can swing it back on the undercut racing line, you can actually get a good exit and come right back at your opponent. Oh, good Lord, there's an absolute calamity ahead of us. Russell and Leclerc have come together, Ferrari v Mercedes, and it's all blown up, and we were actually making a move on Piastri as we did it, so we've just got 3 overtakes in one little section there. Did well to avoid the Ferrari, who was literally facing the wrong way on the racing line. So we've been very good at keeping it clean here. This may be an Assetto Corsa video for the first time without a restart of at least one redo on the race here. What is going on? As we have a little look down the inside of Albon in the Williams, the 2 Williams cars doing very well. So, they would obviously love to be this good in the future of Formula 1. Sainz is on for a podium right now in the other Williams, but Albon did well at the hairpin. Like I said before, that hairpin is incredibly tricky to get right. I mean, even the best of the best, like Fernando Alonso, remember, I'm driving in his Aston Martin car right now, but I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2018. McLaren, he got it all crossed up at the hairpin, trying to make his way through some traffic. It is not easy to get it slowed down, and with how tight it is at the actual apex and exit, it's so tricky to judge, and that's what happened with us on Albon. He just managed to get the better overspeed out the corner, and now we're stuck behind him and our teammate Lance Stroll. Really want to get past these two, because you can see there's a bit of clean air then ahead to the next car along. So ideally we pass, well, Albon right here, might even go for the 2 pass. Oh, go on, as Stroll opens up the door. We've caught him napping somewhat, and he's actually slowed himself on the curb. He squeezes us towards the grass, but he lost a lot of momentum on the curbing on that left-hander, and so we have the better speed with the DRS activated, the active aero, I should say. I keep forgetting that's something we're going to all have to get used to saying, is it's active aero from 2026, because the front wing, you'll notice if you look closer at the front wing flap, it does shallow at the same time when you hit the button to activate the entire system. As we're now gaining on Lando Norris, we've done very well so far, by the way, to save a lot of battery on purpose to use at the end, because more so than ever in this new era of Formula 1 cars, the energy, the battery energy is so important. It's so powerful, such a big part of the power unit. It really is a power unit, not really an engine. It's a power unit because of how much electrical is involved, and so I think it's really wise to save a lot for this end bit of the race to make those last overtakes, because as we go on to lap 6, I actually think we could catch all the way up to Verstappen in this race and have a real close ending. But right now things are getting very, very frosty between myself and Lando Norris. We just about make that move, but he comes back at us. That ferocious dive bomb from the McLaren, that was absolutely filthy from our fellow compatriot Lando. Big dive, hits our front right tyre, and we're going to try and repay the favour with a bit of a dive bomb of our own. He goes a little bit wide. We're trying to go for the outside line. Can we just make this work? We can't find the grip mid-corner. Can we, dare I say, go around the outside of this quick right-hander? We'll give it a good go, but we get very close to the gravel on the outside. We're on the curb, and if you take too much curb, you're going to definitely get spat out to the grass, to the gravel trap there, so just have to back out of that. But you can see why I enjoy Hockenheim so much. I think it's very clear in this race. This track, especially now, actually, obviously we don't know how accurate this will be, in terms of these cars, the new era of cars and whatever, but the game certainly thinks we're going to have an absolute ball of a time. These cars are handling beautifully around here. We're, able to look for little moves, but sometimes the grip just isn't there, and you have to kind of, go for something else. You don't want it to be too easy in the corners, of course, and you don't want it to be too easy on the straights either, as we kind of set Lando up for that move there, because we compromise his line effectively for that slingshot, and so we're able to punch past him with ease and then get on to using a bit more battery to try and catch up to Carlos Sainz. We're constantly changing the battery mode to try and save in the corners, ensure we have enough energy at the end to go for a charge as we catch up now to the top three. Sainz ahead of us. Then you've got, well, I've only just seen now, Lewis Hamilton, apparently he's been driving for Ferrari and loving it so much in this 2026 scenario, he's become Italian, and Verstappen's become an Austrian for some random reason. But anyways, we catch up to the Spaniard, who does have the correct flag on the heads-up display in the Williams. Absolutely cooking is Carlos Sainz in this car, but we're going to try and ruin the party as we catch up. This section really is just about trying to not lose momentum through, especially this double right-hander, where I've just found floating in fourth gear has seemed to work really well for me versus the AI, but it does also, you know, require a lot of patience, because you do always want to kind of bite at it and kind of go one gear down to try and get a bit more power and revs, but you just need to try and remain patient, let the car do the work in the middle of the corner as we just very calmly get down the inside of Sainz. And now the chase is on versus the Italian Lewis Hamilton and the Austrian, apparently, Max Verstappen, as we catch up to them with only one lap coming up. It is Red Bull Ford versus Ferrari versus Aston Martin Honda here. We're driving in Fernando's car. Let's see if we can channel some of his racing prowess. So no matter what happens on this last lap, I think you can agree the racing has been pretty darn fun, at least from my perspective, in this race, as we now close on the Ferrari. He doesn't go defensive. He's going to leave the door open, as unfortunately the AI have done quite a lot of time by that corner, but in real life, obviously, you'd be looking to slam the door shut and then open yourself up, though, for the outside move, because that's the tricky thing with these corners, that, you know, it's one corner straight into the other. You defend one side, but that completely opens yourself up then for the person trying to attack you to just take the normal racing line. But with that move done and dusted, we now focus on the car directly ahead of us. We almost give him a little love tap through the hairpin. It's now time to go up against Verstappen. This is going into the last half of the lap. On the last lap, dive down the inside. The Red Bull is going to stick to the right. We'll go on the outside and try and be committed, and we're actually going to be nearly side by side through that right-hander with a kind of, you know, banked section, and now through the fast right, we're even closer. And as we enter the stadium section, we're quite literally wheel to wheel. Verstappen does so well, though, to get around the outside. We just couldn't hold it on the left, and we get desperate. We go down one gear. That steps the rear end out. We have to be patient now through the final corner, plant the power, try and get the battery going, and we're gaining and gaining, but it's going to be second place, but by only, what's that, like 0.021 seconds in the end. An unbelievably close and entertaining finish here. Oh, Hockenheim, I do miss you. And this just shows why I and many think that we need it back on the F1 calendar. If you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.